And we are fortunate, as always, to be joined by the great Rick Bozich from WDRB.com, where you can go for free coverage of virtually anything you want, to be honest with you. Covers the Hoosiers as well as the Cardinals, Kentucky, anything else. And right now, Indiana, fresh off of a beatdown in Atlanta, Rick, from an Auburn team that was fresh off of a loss to an App State, which that doesn't always mean a lot. Teams get upset. I get it. That was on the road, but App State was able to hold Auburn to 65 points. Indiana gives up 40 more points. Auburn scored more points in the first half than that. I mean, that's almost the difference in that. It's crazy the amount of point differential that is.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that were concerning about that game. I mean, Indiana started out really well. They hit 4 threes. They're up 22-10. They get outscored 94-54 the rest of the way, which is, I can't remember the last time an Indiana team got outscored by 40 points in a stretch. It would have to be those Crean teams that didn't have players. They gave up 14 threes. It's the fourth team this year that's put up a season high in threes against them. That's concerning. Khalil Ware had 2 baskets in the first 5 minutes and not another one the rest of the game. Didn't have a field goal attempt in the second half. Auburn decided we're not going to let your big guys beat us. We're going to get physical with them. And they did. And Indiana didn't have an answer to it. And Auburn pushed the pace. Auburn set the tone. Auburn played more aggressive and had fewer fouls. In the first half. That was the thing. They were getting into Indiana defense, and they weren't getting called for fouls. And Indiana got into them once, and Mbako got called for getting in the guy's space. I mean, it just was a bad performance. And what's more concerning, I guess, is that I look back over the 2+ years that Woodson's been there, and this has been kind of a trend. They got blown out by St. Mary's in the NCAA tournament. They got blown out by Arizona, Kansas, and Miami last year. They got blown out by UConn this year, and now they get blown out by Auburn. That's not a good look. And we'll see what happens Saturday against Kansas. But considering the state of the Big Ten this season, I think it's fairly important that they win this game because they need a high quality win on their resume for Selection Sunday.
And we were talking about that earlier. The exact same thing, but because of the state of the Big Ten, there aren't that many, if any, what you will be able to call statement wins. Purdue, of course, would be a statement win. Illinois would be a statement win.
Maybe Wisconsin.
Wisconsin and Northwestern. But that means you don't have to have any more statement losses along the way either to equal that out. And you talked about a pattern over the last couple. This is year 3. And I know I'm not getting on. I'm just pointing out, hey, this is year 3 and things look a lot like they did in year 1 and year 2. Everyone says, yeah, but they got to the tournament. I don't care that they got to the tournament. They were embarrassed when they got there. Both times they got embarrassed by St. Mary's. They got embarrassed by Miami. And they've been embarrassed by Arizona. They've been embarrassed by Kansas. They just got embarrassed by Auburn. These are embarrassing losses, and they're coming in the same fashion. An offense that was supposed to be way more open this year is the exact same as what I've seen last year when it was feed it to Trace Jackson Davis. If that doesn't work, try to pass it to somebody who's they're going to do the Harlem Globetrotters circle out front of the perimeter.
The dribble handoff.
Yeah, the dribble handoff and just run circles. And they're not looking for 3-point shots at all. I don't know how in the world you start off a game hitting your first 4, which matches your season high, and then you don't get another 3-point shot until there's 7 minutes to go in the game.
Was that the one Gunn hit, I guess, finally?
Yes.
I guess the way I look at it is this. they're not a good three-point shooting team. They're not going to be a good three-point shooting because they don't have enough good shooters and they don't prioritize it. Okay, so you accept that. You say, all right, you make 4 to 6 threes a game. That's what it is. But if that is the way you're going to play, you can't let the other team have 11, 12, 13, 14 three-pointers against you because it's simple math. That's not going to, you're not going to win. So you have to pick one and you have to find a way to be better defending the three-point shot. And then what I go from there is there needs to be a change in the roster construction of the team of recruiting better guards. Their guards aren't good enough. I'm not trying to be harshly critical of any player. They're just not good enough. And you have to have good guards to win in the Big Ten or at a high level in college basketball. They don't have a guard when the other team comes into the game that says, we got to stop that guy. He can go get a basket whenever he wants to. They don't have a guy like that. Their scores are inside guys. And when you're outmanned that way in the backcourt, you're not going to be a good team. I mean, you're just not. And I don't know. I mean, part of it is, I guess, because Newton's hurt. They were counting on more from him. Part of it is they went up for some other recruits and they didn't get them. I don't know what the reasons are, but their guards aren't good enough. I mean, that's what I believe.
Well, it's true. But also, Mike has not been able to land that guard. He got Jalen Hood-Schifino, but we're talking over a span of 3 years, you can't land just one guard. You have to land multiple because especially with his substitution pattern, you have to have multiple. And that's why you have this open scholarship, mainly because you couldn't land a guard. I assume they didn't want to waste one on a 4-year guy such as was it Joey Green or what's the kid's name?
Joey Hart, who's at Kentucky.
Joey Hart, rather, that went to Kentucky.
They should have got a guard out of the portal somewhere. They should have found a guy, who's playing at I don't know, I'll just throw it a Chattanooga or a App State or Ohio University or somewhere like that would be energized by the thought of going to the Big Ten and come up and playing and got a guy from there. I don't know who it would have been, but there are guys out there that other schools have gotten and they've gone up a level and they would help them out. They went for big guys. They got Ware, they got Sparks, and they got Walker. So they got 3 big guys, but they didn't get any guards out of the portal. Now, I know they tried to get Dalton Connect, but that didn't really ever go anywhere. He never even visited. And Timberlake was another one. The kid, I think, who went to Kansas from Towson State, maybe is where he was from. So, I mean, they had the names of some guys, but they didn't get them. And if you don't get them, then it's not good. So that's got – and then in this year's recruiting class, all they have is McNeely, and he's a wing player. They've got to get some guards. I mean, it's not going to be – you can have a good team. You're not going to have a great team unless you have good guards. You got to have at least – I mean, they had one last year. They had one in Hood-Schifino, and maybe they didn't really believe he was going to be a one and done and he would be there back this season. But him not being there and Xavier Johnson being hurt is more than they can overcome. And I suspect Johnson's not going to play again on Saturday. Is that the feeling?
I don't know. I really don't on that one. But it really makes you ask, especially I thought the other day, I look at Mike's staff. He has not brought in a single assistant coach of his own. Everyone's an Archie Miller holdover, number one.
Not Yasir. Yeah, he brought in Rosemond.
Oh, he did? Okay.
Yeah,
I was thinking he was there for a year before that.
Kenny Payne recommended him. Yeah. But no, you're right on Kenya Hunter and Brian Walsh. Yeah, they're left over. They're guys.
And Brian Walsh was actually the director of basketball operations, right? Which is
and he brought in Gabe Cupps, and Gabe Cupps is
Gabe Cupps was actually an Archie. Archie started recruiting him. But didn't Walsh have the relationship? He's going to be a good player, and he played fine against Auburn, but he's not. Right. He's not going to be a guy who's going to go out there and get 15 or 20 points in a game as a freshman. I mean, he's just not. He's got to have somebody that keep
the game under control and help other people score and play defense and limit turnovers and those things. I would think by the time he's a junior or senior that he could be a 10 to 12 to 13 points per game guy, but that's not what he's going to be this year.
Agreed. It makes you wonder about this staff that they're only looking at these 5-star type recruits, which I get that great talent and all, but are they good at identifying talent? You talked about going to the portal, find somebody that's how many times do we see a guy that's on a team that, well, last year he was playing for St. Mary's of the Woods, and here he's hitting 35% from three for this Power 5 team this year because he gets a chance. There's a lot of those guys out there. There are tons, but they have to be identified. And I don't know that they're even looking for those guys. They're only looking for the home run hires that they know. Well, hell, I can identify home run hires. It's finding those diamonds in the rough. And I don't know that they're either trying or if it's the capability or whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean, the most obvious example is that I don't think they were very engaged on Braden Smith, and they didn't really recruit him, and Purdue got him. That would have been a kid who could have been at Indiana possibly. I think he had some interest in Indiana, but they weren't really.
He would have walked to Indiana.
Okay, there you go. So, there's other guys like that. So I'm sure they didn't get, but I mean, that's the way it is right now. They have to do something moving forward. It's not like the NBA where you can make a trade or pick somebody up on waivers during the middle of the season. They're going to have to make the best of what they have right now. But looking towards next year, if they get Derek Queen to add to McNeely, that's nice, but they still need a guard. They need a couple of guards, impact guards, guys who can make a difference. I mean, Boo Buie wasn't any great recruit, but he might be the best guard in the Big Ten. Go out and find a guy like that. Michigan State got Tyson Walker out of the portal. There's a million examples. Ohio State, Indiana did lose out on Bruce Thornton. I don't know if that was under Woodson or under Archie Miller, but they recruited him and he went to Ohio State instead. But, and this year there was Boogie Fland and they didn't get him. I mean, if you're going against, I think it's foolish for them to go after one and dones that Kentucky wants, because Kentucky's going to say, here's the deal. You come here, you'll be the next John Wall, Brandon Knight, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, De'Aaron Fox, Tyrese Maxey. You'll play here 1 year and you'll be a star in the NBA. We've done it 27 times. And they got another one this year who's going to do it probably in either Shepard or DJ Wagner or Dillingham or whatever. I mean, it's just hard to recruit against that. And secondly, if you're a place like Indiana, it's probably not a good strategy to have just a one and done guy, because you can't build anything at all. They need some 2 or 3 year guys.
Yes, absolutely, without question. Anthony Walker has probably been the best pickup that they've had.
I agree. Khalil Ware. Khalil Ware's the best pickup.
Oh well, yes. I'm sorry. I meant he just gets overlooked because he's a starter. But getting him, and especially with what was said about him, to get what they're getting from him, he has been he has lived up to the hype, which that's maybe not even fair to use that word when you get hyped. It's not your deal. But then you get a guy like Mackenzie Mbako, and I don't think Mackenzie Mbako is not living up to his hype. I don't know that he's being put in a position to live up to his hype. I mean, I hate to refer back to this, and I'm not trying to throw Todd under the bus. He talked about him being such a great shooter, and he is. He's hit the first, still 21 free throws of his IU career. He still hasn't missed. I don't want to jinx him, but why they're not putting him in a position to get threes? They're not. The offense is not geared towards that at all. The movement is not geared towards that. Other than when Khalil Ware gets outside and is able to just shoot over top of somebody, or Malik Renew, but they're not working on anything other than inside out if it has to be. And then I think that's what it should be called, inside and out if it has to be.
Yeah, it's not a priority to get Mbako shots. And, he's got work to do. I know that he talked, I think you were there on media day, that he expected to be in the NBA next year. At this point, from what he's shown, I don't see him being an NBA draft pick going into next season. Do you?
He hasn't been able to show anything. No,
right.
No one has seen anything. That is not, yes, I understand the NBA drafts on potential. They haven't been able to even see his potential.
He needs to work on his ball handling and be able to, drive the ball and score. He hasn't shown that yet. At his position, he's going to have to be able to show he can handle the ball better and drive it and score it and be a lot better on defense. But maybe as a freshman, he's only 9 games into his college career. He's going to get better. He's learning. It's a whole different world for him than playing where he played in New Jersey. But it's going to come down to this. I mean, when is Xavier Johnson going to come back? And when he does come back, how effective is he going to be? And is Galloway going to be able to become more of the player he was last year, where he was at least a very serious threat from 3, and he's not this year? And is CJ Gunn going to make the jump where he can be trusted to go in the game for 12 to 15 minutes a game and make some shots and play good defense? I didn't think he had a very good game at all against Auburn. And the stats, everybody has talked about it. I mean, Indiana was ahead 22-10 when Woodson did the thing that irritates a lot of people, which is the hockey shift substitutions where all 5 starters go out. And I think we all agree the track record of that is not working very well. There's a big drop off with the second team in there, and they lose the momentum. And in that game, they never got it back. He talked about, well, the starters came back in and it was still tied. Well, all the momentum was gone. Auburn was feeling great about itself, and they were just letting it fly and hitting. And what was really hard to believe about that game is that the number of times Auburn just beat Indiana to offensive rebounds and dunked them. I mean, they just got outworked, man. I mean, they did. At some point, I hate to always reference back to Coach Knight, but there would have been a timeout called and some guys would have got their butts chewed pretty hard.